Chapter 31 Zhang Yi's family is too rich, Bai Lianhua is crying. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Lin Caning's pep talk, Fang Yuqing had to admit it made sense, plus, she was starving, remembering Zhang Yi's photos of steaks, lobster, and fancy desserts, her mouth watered. She'd ditch her pride for just one bite. Grabbing her phone, she opened Zhang Yi's WeChat and sent a voice message, trying her best to sound sweet. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi was chilling at home, watching TV since all the stations had gone off the air. He'd downloaded tons of classic movies, shows, and variety programs. Gotta kill the boredom somehow, ding dong, star, his phone buzzed. It was Fang Yuqing, a sly grin spread across his face. Looks like Miss Haiyanmighty was finally cracking. He tapped the message and heard Fang Yuqing's sugary voice. Ugh, Zhang Yi, you big dummy. You haven't talked to me in forever, are you trying to ditch me? So, I might have said a couple of things that one time, but I felt bad right after. But I'm a girl, so I didn't want to be the first to apologize. You should know better. Fang Yuqing was a master of playing the innocent victim. That's how she fooled Zhang Yi in his past life, he had to admit. Her whiny voice made his skin crawl. He gritted his teeth. If he didn't know how wicked she was, he might almost fall for it. He texted back. Been feeling kinda under the weather lately, probably just a bug. Didn't feel like checking WeChat. Fang Yuqing immediately replied, sick. Are you catching something? You have to bundle up in this weather. Nah, it's a fever and chills. Zhang Yi replied. Fang Yuqing stared blankly at the message. A fever and chills. Was he kidding her? Their indoor temperature was hitting sub-zero levels. She and Li Caning were practically living under blankets and hugging each other to stay warm, barely sleeping from the cold, and he's saying he's got a fever. Zhang Yi, come on, you can't get a cold when it's this cold. Zhang Yi sent a emoji. Is it cold? Oh, I have a fireplace in my room, so I don't really notice. Thing gets so hot it's unbearable. I probably caught something hanging out by the fire a few days ago. He snapped a pic of the blazing fireplace with his phone. He even made sure to get his bare legs in the shot, and, just by chance, you could see the mountain of snacks on the coffee table, along with leftover lamb chops and chicken legs. Then, he sent the photo to Fang Yuqing. If the earlier photos had just made her a little envious, this one lit a fire of pure jealousy. A fireplace. That was the ultimate heat source. Even up north, with temperatures way below freezing, you could be cozy as anything. Burning one of those inside, it was even better than a radiator. You could feel the heat directly. Fang Yuqing had been frozen solid for 10 days straight. She was barely functioning. Now, besides food, all she wanted was some heat. She and Lin Caning had burned a chair in their room a few days before just to warm up. Even though the heat only lasted 10 minutes, the high temperature of the flames made her cry tears of relief. But they were running out of things to burn. After it was over, she could only dream about that feeling. And now Zhang Yi was saying he had a fireplace. Tianhai City was practically the tropics. No one needed fireplaces there. Fang Yuqing didn't have time to think about that. Her eyes were glued to the photo, and she had one thought. She needed to get to Zhang Yi's house. Seeing Zhang Yi's bare legs and overflowing table, he suddenly became her only hope. Lin Caning, curled up next to her, noticed the change in Fang Yuqing's face. She leaned in for a look, and gasped. Holy crap. That photo can't be real, right? How can anyone be living like that right now? It's heaven. Fang Yuqing snapped to attention. Wait, everyone else is starving and freezing. How can Zhang Yi be doing so well? Maybe the pictures before were fake. An idea sparked. She started a video call with Zhang Yi. Real or fake, she'd know as soon as she saw it. Lin Caning crowded in, staring at the screen. When Zhang Yi saw the call, he grinned. He was dying to see how desperately this little snake would beg. He wouldn't be able to rest easy until she was suffering, just like he did in his past life. He answered the call. As soon as the connection was made, each side could see the other. Zhang Yi had just finished working out and was sprawled on the couch. Shirtless, the room was brightly lit, with exercise equipment behind him. You could just make out a ton of food stacked up in the kitchen. He liked to cook up something new in his spare time, so, scattered in the kitchen, were boxes of scallops, fish maw, abalone, along with fancy instant ramen, caviar, and truffle-flavored canned goods. For him, these things were just snacks to be enjoyed now and then, but for the two women on the other side of the camera, it was the most beautiful food in their dreams. Compared to Zhang Yi's comfort, Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning looked rough. They were wrapped in thick blankets, and because it was so cold, they couldn't use any cosmetics, so they looked haggard, far from the polished image they usually presented. Zhang Yi saw Fang Yuqing. A trace of disappointment flickered in his eyes. The goddess he'd chased so relentlessly in the past was, without makeup, just a 6 at best. Thinking about how long he'd been fooled, he cursed under his breath, "Shake it, Shiba. Old horse." The two women didn't notice Zhang Yi's expression. At this point, they were completely transfixed by what they saw in Zhang Yi's place. Him being shirtless meant the temperature was just right. The lights, which they hadn't even dreamed about given their meager ration of electricity each day, and especially the kitchen, where the mountain of food was making the women drool. Chapter 32 White Lotus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Through the video call, Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning got a glimpse of Zhang Yi's life these days. The comfortable temperature and abundance of food just blew their minds. It was like looking at paradise. They probably couldn't imagine that even after 10 days since the world went sideways, someone could still be living so large. Zhang Yi asked casually, "How are you guys holding up? You look like you've lost some weight, congrats." Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning wanted to scream. Were they trying to lose weight? They were just plain starving. Now, they were only daring to eat a single pack of ramen a day, or the supplies in their place would have been gone ages ago. Lin Canning's eyes were glued to the food in Zhang Yi's kitchen. She swallowed hard and asked with longing, "Zhang Yi, how do you have so much food? Was it the stuff you stocked up on during our last shopping trip together?" Zhang Yi glanced at the kitchen and said offhandedly, "That stuff's just junk food. I'll have some if I'm too lazy to cook, but I don't really touch it." And that was the truth. In his private dimension, mountains of delicious food were piling up. He'd ordered countless delicacies from all sorts of restaurants. Plus, among the billions of dollars worth of supplies in that Walmart warehouse, there were over 10,000 different kinds of food. To Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning, his nonchalant attitude was a total flex. After all, one pack of ramen was going for $2,000 among the other residents. Zhang Yi could see their throats working as they swallowed, clearly dying for a taste, but he didn't say anything, just quietly enjoyed their longing. "Wow, your family is eating great, Zhang Yi. It's a good thing you bought so much stuff back then, you were thinking ahead," Fang Yuqing said with a smile. For the first time, she called him Zhang Yi. The corners of Zhang Yi's mouth twitched slightly. "Hey, what can I say? I got lucky." Fang Yuqing followed up, "Say, your place looks so warm. And with the power out, how is it so bright?" That was her biggest question. Nothing sounded better than being warm when you're freezing your butt off. Zhang Yi just smiled, flipped the camera around, and pointed it at the fireplace. "We've got a fireplace. This thing cranks out the heat, it's almost too hot in here." He added, just to rub it in, "You guys look pretty cold. Is it really that bad out there? I haven't been outside in over a week, so I have no idea what it is like out there." Zhang Yi's words were basically pouring gasoline on the fire. Of course, he knew what was going on outside. All he had to do was check the building's chat group to see how miserable everyone was and how cold their apartments were. Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning were simmering with resentment. They knew Zhang Yi was just trying to get a rise out of them. Talk about living large. Total Versi move. Fang Yuqing now had one goal, to get into Zhang Yi's apartment. He had plenty of food and a warm environment. What was not to love? Fang Yuqing immediately put on her best innocent, damsel-in-distress act, batted her eyelashes, and said sweetly, "Zhang Yi, you're so awesome. I'm so impressed. Could I come over for a visit? I haven't seen you in ages. I miss you so much." Fang Yuqing was sure her trick would work. she'd used it to bend plenty of guys to her will in the past. Plus, Zhang Yi had even tried to date her way back when she figured a goddess like herself just had to bat her eyes and Zhang Yi would instantly cave. Once she was inside his place, she'd figure out a way to stay for good. Maybe she'd even give Zhang Yi a little something to keep him happy. That's how guys are, right? But, to her surprise, Zhang Yi just felt nauseous looking at her swollen face on the other end of the camera. He started wondering if he'd been out of his mind back in the day. Why would he chase after this kind of woman for 2 years? Back then, they'd both worked in the warehouse area, and there weren't many women around. Fang Yuqing was good at being flirty and cute, and she always dressed well, so Zhang Yi had put her on a pedestal. With his love blindness activated, Fang Yuqing became his ideal girl. But after being betrayed to death in his last life, that fantasy had been shattered. Looking at Fang Yuqing's bare face on the camera, Zhang Yi didn't feel anything. It just felt fake and gave him the creeps. The corner of his mouth curled into a slight smirk. Then, leaning back on the sofa, he propped his cheek up with one hand and said lazily, "It's freezing out, you should probably just stay home. Don't go running around. I mean, I have no idea how cold it is outside, but from the looks of you, it can't be good." Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning were taken aback by Zhang Yi's rejection. They froze for a moment, their eyes wide with disbelief. Fang Yuqing's eyes were filled with shock and resentment. In her mind, Zhang Yi was her backup plan. All she had to do was snap her fingers and he would come running. Now, she was practically begging to come over, and he was turning her down without even thinking about it. It was a blow to her ego. What made it even worse was his tone of Versi. No way, she wasn't going to accept this. She knew that there was a warm paradise filled with food in her apartment building, but she was stuck at home starving. She couldn't deal with it. She was a goddess. Fang Yuqing's face stiffened for a moment, then she forced a smile. "Come on, Zhang Yi, stop teasing me. Didn't you always say I was your favorite? Why wouldn't you want me to visit? Don't be like that." She pouted and gave him a wounded look, designed to tug at his heartstrings. Most guys would fall for it, their chivalry kicking in, and they'd cave immediately. Zhang Yi was the exception. After being betrayed by Fang Yuqing, he felt nothing for her but hatred. Zhang Yi said, "Back when I was trying to get you to come over, you always had some excuse about us being single, and people would talk. I think you were right. We're not together. We should keep our distance. Save ourselves the gossip." Back when Zhang Yi was chasing her, it took a Herculean effort to get her to even go out for dinner or a movie. He had to buy gifts, plan surprises, and book fancy places just to get a shot. And whenever he suggested she come over to his place, she always had a laundry list of excuses. Now, Zhang Yi was throwing her own words back at her. Chapter 33. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fang Yuqing's face tightened. She was still a little sensitive about her past actions, but why should a little manipulator like her feel embarrassed? Especially in front of what she considered a desperate simp. Even though Zhang Yi was still acting distant, Fang Yuqing figured he was just playing hard to get. She was convinced Zhang Yi was head over heels for her, and with a little more effort, she could reel him in. "So," she said in a flirty voice, "they were just looking out for you. Come on, Zhang Yi, don't hold a grudge. Just blame it on me, okay? I'll come over and make it up to you." She bit her lip, a blush creeping onto her face. "I could even give you a leg massage, rub your shoulders." Zhang Yi thought, holy crap, on a day this cold, she was putting on a show of bashful innocence, and her acting was Oscar-worthy. It was a shame she wasn't a movie star. Too bad Zhang Yi wasn't buying it. "I can't let you do that. We're not dating. That's way too personal." Zhang Yi said, deadpan, "I'm pretty old-fashioned." Fang Yuqing was about to lose it at Zhang Yi's words. She was practically offering herself up, and he was playing hard to get. Did she have to spell it out for him? Just letting her crash at his place would bring tons of benefits down the line. Maybe even a little action wasn't out of the question. She figured she hadn't been clear enough. Desperate to get into Zhang Yi's house and live the good life, she didn't even care about Lin Canning standing right there. She said directly to Zhang Yi, "Zhang Yi, he's always had a thing for you. Maybe a relationship could happen down the road." You know, love can blossom over time. Then, feigning shyness, she covered her face again. Oh, this is so embarrassing. I can't believe I just said that. Her coy act, combined with her come-hither eyes, was pretty alluring. If this were the old Zhang Yi, he'd have let her in without a second thought. You had to hand it to her, not just anyone could pull off the innocent vixen routine. That kind of performance took years to perfect, and Zhang Yi quickly considered the possibilities. Did he really want to let the white lotus flower, Fang Yuqing, into his house? Don't get him wrong, he wasn't a saint. He just figured, after chasing her for 2 years, if he could score, giving her a good thrashing would settle the score. But the thought was fleeting. He quickly dismissed it, because now that the apocalypse was here, he had to eliminate any potential risks. He wasn't about to open the door and let anyone into his fortress. Staying alive was all that mattered. Zhang Yi smirked, looking at Fang Yuqing with mocking eyes. Fang Yuqing, did you get the wrong idea? He threw up his hands and said, I'll admit, we were close for a while. But, he leaned closer to the camera, a teasing glint in his eyes, you don't actually think I like you, do you? For a supremely confident femme fatale, those words were devastating. Sure enough, Fang Yuqing's face fell after hearing that. Lin Canning also glanced at her, a hint of satisfaction in her eyes. Girlfriends were just fake friends, after all. On the surface, they acted like they cared, but deep down, they loved to see you squirm. Fang Yuqing asked, Zhang Yi, what do you mean? Didn't you used to be crazy about me? Zhang Yi scoffed. Don't get it twisted. You're cute, sure, a pretty girl. But I never planned on falling in love with you. It was just for fun, at best. A guy like me could find a girl with looks and a killer bod in this city without breaking a sweat. You. Seriously, where did you get the idea that I was head over heels for you? Zhang Yi acted like he couldn't help but laugh. He was telling the truth. He was a local, born and raised. He owned $1 million house, had millions in the bank, and a solid job pulling down a good salary. Plus, he was tall and good-looking. He was a catch in the dating scene. If Zhang Yi hadn't been so naive in his past life, and knew how to play the game, he could have had a different woman every week. Zhang Yi's words were like knives, stabbing Fang Yuqing right in the heart. For a self-proclaimed goddess, the most crushing thing was being rejected, because her allure was all she had. She always thought Zhang Yi was just a pathetic simp she could string along while chasing richer guys. Now, Zhang Yi was telling her she was just another fish in his pond. Fang Yuqing couldn't handle it. Her voice cracking with rage, she said, Zhang Yi, you're going too far. Zhang Yi sneered and kept pushing. Oh, please, drop the innocent act. It's been tired for a while now. You're just a gold digger, aren't you? Always on the hunt for a rich guy. You think they're stupid. And by the way, word gets around in those circles. You're well known among the rich kids. Licking up to Zhang one day, chasing after Li the next. They just played with you for a couple of days. Did you really think you'd become the lady of the manor? You know what they call you behind your back? The town bicycle. Zhang Yi mercilessly mocked Fang Yuqing. She thought she was so irresistible, trying to win Zhang Yi over with her charm, hoping to move into his place and live the good life. Fang Yuqing's face was deathly pale, her body trembling with rage. Never had she been so humiliated to her face. And to be so brutally mocked by the pathetic simp she looked down on, it was like grinding her self-esteem into the dirt. Zhang Yi. Shut up, Fang Yuqing roared, completely losing it. Zhang Yi snorted and said, just telling it like it is. Why so worked up? You did all of this yourself. It's a real mess. With that, Zhang Yi hung up, not giving Fang Yuqing a chance to retort. Chapter 34. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhang Yi ripped into Fang Yuqing, exposing her for the two-faced user she was. This hit Fang Yuqing hard. Even though she was a gold digger who played with men's emotions, she still thought of herself as a good person. Zhang Yi's ridicule shattered her self-image. After all, if even someone like Zhang Yi could look down on her, it meant she wasn't desirable enough to snag a rich guy and become a trophy wife. After Zhang Yi hung up, he saw a barrage of voice messages from Fang Yuqing. He knew They were just rants directed at him, but he didn't care. In the apocalypse, that user would wither away from the freezing temperatures and starvation. Zhang Yi was just amusing himself, watching her downfall. Why would he get mad at a dead woman? Seeing her lose it actually gave him a twisted sense of satisfaction. Ha ha ha! Zhang Yi burst out laughing. He went to the kitchen and grabbed a bottle of Romani Conti from the fridge. It was a $20 bottle of wine that had been kept in a temperature-controlled cabinet back at Walmart. Zhang Yi didn't have many of these, only a few dozen cases, but he was in a celebratory mood. Power wasn't an issue in his home. The wiring had been modified during the renovation. He had hooked up backup power and a silent generator, so he had plenty of energy. He went into the living room and set the table with a lavish meal: French escargots, a tomahawk steak, stargazy pie, Jinling salted duck, and a bottle of Romani Conti. In the apocalypse, the old rules went out the window. Zhang Yi didn't bother with etiquette. He ate whatever he wanted, however he wanted. He could even have caviar for a snack. He was probably the only one in the world living this kind of lifestyle. Because of the sudden end of the world, even the richest people hadn't had time to prepare properly. Take Su Hao, for example, whose father was a big-shot CEO in Tianhai City. But Zhang Yi remembered his father dying within 2 weeks of the apocalypse. His wealth was useless, and that out-of-shape old man didn't have the survival skills to make it. Meanwhile, Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning were in the apartment they shared. Fang Yuqing was having a meltdown, throwing things and cursing Zhang Yi. Normally, she might not have been so upset, but seeing Zhang Yi living the high life right now was the last straw. A warm, comfortable home and a feast of high-end food were the most valuable things in the frozen apocalypse. She couldn't stand being shut out of the good life that was just out of reach. Zhang Yi, you bastard, how dare you talk to me like that? If it weren't for this blizzard, I wouldn't give you the time of day. Fang Yuqing spat through gritted teeth. Lin Canning, on the sofa beside her, watched her with a hint of disdain. If you hadn't played him before, we could be enjoying the delicious food and the warm fireplace at Zhang Yi's place. Fang Yuqing scoffed. What's so great about him? He just has a house and some money. I, Fang Yuqing, am going to marry into wealth and become a rich wife. Lin Canning frowned. But right now, Zhang Yi has plenty of food and a warm fireplace. That's better than any rich kid. She looked out the window at the endless snow. According to news on their phones, the entire world was covered in ice and snow. She said worriedly, what if this storm never ends? On TV, the few remaining news channels were trying to stay positive. Experts in thick parkas were saying that the disaster would pass soon. They were all in this together, and persistence would win, but nothing pointed to the end of the storm. Lin Canning hugged herself tightly. If the snow keeps falling, we'll either freeze or starve to death. Lin Canning's words turned Fang Yuqing's anger into fear. They had been trapped at home for 10 days, which felt like 10 years. If you haven't been through something like this, you can't imagine how grueling it is. It could drive a person insane. Even for women like Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning, their mental state was fragile. Facing the endless snowfall, they thought about death. Fang Yuqing curled up on the sofa, picturing Zhang Yi's warm, comfortable home again. She said angrily and sadly, it's not fair. How can Zhang Yi live so well while I'm so miserable when I'm the pretty one? Lin Canning glanced at Fang Yuqing but didn't say anything. She wrapped herself in a blanket, grabbed her phone, and found Zhang Yi in her contacts. Soon, Zhang Yi got a text from Lin Canning. He was sipping top-shelf wine with his fancy meal. When he saw the message, he smirked. Watching women like them suffer in the apocalypse was better than a movie. Zhang Yi read Lin Canning's text. Zhang Yi, I was so glad to see you tell off Fang Yuqing. I've always known she's a gold digger who never really cared about you. I always hoped you'd see her for who she is. Congratulations on waking up. Zhang Yi chuckled. Talk about fair-weather friends. She sold Fang Yuqing out quickly. But it wasn't surprising. You are who you hang out with. Neither Lin Canning nor Fang Yuqing were good news, he replied. Yeah, whatever. Lin Canning continued, seeing you chasing after Fang Yuqing made me sad. Zhang Yi, I've always liked you, did you know that? Now that you're done with Fang Yuqing, let's get together. Zhang Yi almost spit out his wine. Damn, she's laying it on thick. He shook his head. She's real. Her life must be pretty bad after the last week and a half. Lin Canning used to act like she was too good for Zhang Yi even though her situation wasn't great. That didn't stop her from seeing herself as a catch. Now that she saw Zhang Yi reject Fang Yuqing and realized how good his life was, she suddenly wanted a piece of the action. Chapter 35 The Plastic Sisters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhang Yi sighed. Does that woman think I'm a garbage man or something? Fang Yuqing might be a manipulative drama queen, but at least she knew how to flirt and dress well. What does Lin Canning have going for her besides being a cheapskate with an ego problem? But, with a touch of perverse amusement, Zhang Yi smirked and said, "Oh, really? But I just laid into Fang Yuqing pretty hard. You two are like besties. Wouldn't dating me mess with your friendship?" Lin Canning's eyes lit up, sensing an opportunity. She said without a second thought, "Besties? We're just roommates." To win Zhang Yi's trust, she spilled all the dirty secrets about Fang Yuqing. "You have no idea how much I can't stand her. That girl is so lazy. Lately, she's been saying she's too cold to go to the bathroom and pees in water bottles. It's so gross. Don't let her innocent act fool you. She hits up nightclubs looking for guys every night. If she finds some rich dude, she'll do whatever it takes to hook him. When she's short on cash, she just sells herself. How else could she afford all those cosmetics and designer bags on a 5,000 yuan a month salary? 1,500 a night isn't much. Ugh, I can't stand women like that." It was the first time Zhang Yi realized Fang Yuqing had such a side hustle. He gritted his teeth, feeling like the world was getting crazier by the minute. Good thing he wasn't a complete idiot, chasing after Fang Yuqing, but not being a pathetic simp like Zhou Peng. Eager to secure Zhang Yi's confidence, Lin Canning continued to dish out Fang Yuqing's scandals. "Don't let her innocent act fool you, she's had a few abortions. Back in college, she had several sugar daddies paying her bills for 4 years." Zhang Yi listened silently, recording everything on his phone. It was clear to see Lin Canning held a deep-seated resentment against Fang Yuqing. After all, Fang Yuqing was better at acting sweet and looked better, making Lin Canning feel like an afterthought. How many women are happy playing second fiddle? Think about why the popular, beautiful girls in college were always friends with ugly, overweight girls. After venting her emotions, Lin Canning went back to confessing her feelings for Zhang Yi. "Zhang Yi, do you have any idea how painful it's been to watch you chase after Fang Yuqing all this time? Now I finally have a chance to tell you how I feel. Let me be your girlfriend. I'll love you forever. And you must be lonely at home, right? Having a woman around could help you with so many things." Lin Canning was practically begging Zhang Yi to let her come over, hinting he could do whatever he wanted. Too bad Zhang Yi wasn't interested in her kind of game. He immediately forwarded their chat to Fang Yuqing. Then, he told Lin Canning, "I'm touched, but I don't think this is a good idea." Lin Canning, unwilling to accept it, asked, "Why? Don't you want a woman right now?" Forcing himself to suppress the nausea, Zhang Yi said into the phone, "I like women, sure. But you're just too ugly." With that, Zhang Yi muted his phone and tossed it aside. Lin Canning's face twisted upon hearing Zhang Yi's words. He just called her ugly? That's a lie, a total slander. Every time she posted selfies online, people were calling her gorgeous. Just as Lin Canning was spiraling, an angry shriek erupted beside her. "Lin Canning, you backstabbing bitch!" Seeing Lin Canning badmouthing her, Fang Yuqing lost it completely. The two lunged at each other, pulling hair and clawing at arms. They didn't stop until they were too exhausted to move, glaring at each other with pure animosity. If it weren't for the freezing weather and needing a roof over their heads, they'd probably try to kill each other, of course. Lin Canning knew what had happened and seethed with hatred for Zhang Yi. However, like Fang Yuqing, she might envy Zhang Yi more than she hated him. If Zhang Yi agreed to let them in, even just to grab some food, they would throw their dignity out the window and crawl over to him. On Zhang Yi's end, he continued his simple, boring life. Every night, he turned on the TV to watch news broadcasts, something he never used to do. While the content was still mostly filler, he could glean some outside information. Tianhai City officially announces that to meet everyone's electricity demands, power will be supplied from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. daily. High-power appliances cannot be used, only small appliances such as kettles and mobile phones can be heated. Major power stations are still temporarily shut down, causing electricity shortages. We ask everyone to consciously reduce electricity consumption to avoid large-scale, long-term power outages. Zhang Yi raised an eyebrow. For the past few days, there had been sporadic power interruptions daily, lasting only an hour at most. Sometimes, there would be only 10 minutes of power. The government was still willing to provide electricity to ordinary people, even if it was only for a brief period, and that was probably their best effort. The vast majority of power stations around the world had shut down. Before the Ice Age ended, the amount of available energy was dwindling. However, what Zhang Yi focused on wasn't the news itself, but the female anchor's tone and how she presented it. This time, the anchor's voice was serious, and the content wasn't solely intended to comfort the public. That meant officials had given up hiding the severity of the disaster across the country, unable to control the narrative. They were releasing the news to prepare everyone for reality and encourage self-preservation. Sure enough, Zhang Yi found his chat groups exploding as soon as he checked his phone. Some people were cursing the government's inaction, others were crying in despair, and many were buying supplies at inflated prices. The price of instant noodles had skyrocketed from 2,000 yuan a pack 2 days ago to 5,000 yuan a pack. Zhang Yi was still speechless. Human greed was on full display. Knowing the world was ending, where money would have virtually no effect in the near future, yet they were still willing to trade food for it. Zhang Yi didn't say anything. He was an observer, watching everything from a distance. Life had to go on, even without hope, but no one wanted to die, and everyone was determined to survive another day. So people would complain, argue, and still desperately struggle to get through it. Chapter 36 Vicious Woman. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With the water pipes frozen, getting water has become a real problem for everyone here. If you want a drink, you have to brave 70 below temperatures to trek down to the first floor and get snow, but then you have to figure out how to melt it. Inside, it's still 50 or 60 below. The ice is rock solid, like cement. Some folks were so thirsty, they tried licking the ice. Their tongue stuck and they froze to death. For the past few days, Zhang Yi noticed on his security cam that Chen Zhenghao's crew had been spying on him. They were obviously waiting for him to come out for water, planning to ambush him, but they haven't seen him leave his apartment in days. They can't imagine how loaded Zhang Yi is. He could live in here forever without running out of food or anything else. Is Chen Zhenghao still kicking? The guy's got staying power. Zhang Yi mused. Chen Zhenghao took an arrow to the calf. Without proper treatment, his leg is as good as gone, and with an infection, he's lucky to be alive. Not to mention, in these temperatures, any injury could give you a raging fever. It's a miracle he's still breathing. Maybe the cold is keeping the infection at bay. Zhang Yi doesn't know much about medicine, so he's just guessing why Chen Zhenghao's still around, but he doesn't really care. What happens outside doesn't affect him much. Chen Zhenghao's death is just a matter of time. Early the next morning, Zhang Yi woke up and blearily grabbed his phone. Reading the news in the group chat and checking out the forum to see what's happening outside is his biggest pleasure these days. In this kind of apocalypse, watching others struggle in the freezing cold while he's living the high life, the contrast is incredibly satisfying. At least it keeps him from being too bored or lonely. Compared to those freezing, starving, or barely hanging on, he's never been happier. He turned on his phone and saw messages from Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning. First, Fang Yuqing. Zhang Yi, I'm sorry. I was probably just cold yesterday and in a bad mood. I shouldn't have snapped at you. You were right. I was naive and clueless before. I didn't appreciate the people who were good to me. Now I see that you're the one who really cares. I actually like you a lot, too. Can you forgive me? Let's make a life together. I want to be your girl. Aren't you lonely living alone? I can take care of all your needs, you know. Zhang Yi sighed. Fang Yuqing, who used to be so cold and aloof, had finally lost all her pride in the face of disaster. Even after Zhang Yi roasted her so hard, she was willing to swallow her pride and beg him. Wow! Zhang Yi shook his head. He was such an idiot in his past life. If he knew she was this kind of woman, getting with her would have been a piece of cake. Girls like Fang Yuqing are like those women who'll do anything for a few bucks, but demand a fortune to get married. She's so low class, why pretend to be so innocent? Zhang Yi replied, I'm not that thirsty. He's got options, no matter how bad it gets, he's got all kinds of goodies in his alternate space. High-end, full simulation stuff from Japan with voice capability. Hey, it's not like Zhang Yi wanted it. Walmart's warehouse is just packed with that stuff. After closing Fang Yuqing's chat, Zhang Yi opened Lin Caning's. This woman is even bolder than Fang Yuqing. She probably knows she's not as pretty as Fang Yuqing, so she's trying a different approach. She sent a bunch of revealing selfies. Compared to Fang Yuqing, she's way more open-minded. If anyone else saw these, her reputation would be ruined. Zhang Yi quickly replied, yours are too dark. Then he ignored her. He knew that after seeing how great his place was, these two women would do anything to get in. They've already ditched their pride and begged him. They'll probably do anything from now on. But so what? Zhang Yi spent a ton of money turning his place into a fortress, just to deal with stuff like this. After Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning read Zhang Yi's replies, they got pissed and started cursing him. They gave up their pride and begged him. Lin Caning even took pictures of herself in every position she could think of, and Zhang Yi says she's too dark. How embarrassing. Okay, maybe it's true, but there's nothing she can do about it. The more they thought about it, the angrier they got. Life right now is hell, struggling with hunger and the freezing cold. Zhang Yi's place is their last hope. Fang Yuqing gritted her teeth, a fierce look in her eyes. If we have to, we'll just break into his place. I have to live there. I can't starve anymore. If it really comes down to it, I'll kill Zhang Yi. As long as she gets to live in Zhang Yi's house, she's willing to do anything. Although she thinks that way, she is a woman after all. If she goes to Zhang Yi's house to smash the door, she will definitely not be able to beat Zhang Yi. Thinking of this, Fang Yuqing looked to the next door with cold eyes. She and Lin Caning had already broken up. The former plastic sisters had completely torn their faces, but now, Fang Yuqing needs someone to help her, so she came to the next door and said to Lin Caning, Zhang Yi, this damned slut, actually watched us starve and suffer cold, and wouldn't let us into his house. We can't sit still. Such a good house is not worthy of him. Let's find a way to snatch his house. That when Lin Caning heard Fang Yuqing's suggestion, her eyes also glowed green. Kneeling and begging Zhang Yi didn't work, so I could only try to cheat and rob him. Okay, I agree with you. Why does a bitch like Zhang Yi live in such a nice house? He should get out, be frozen to death, and be bitten to death by wild dogs. It's most suitable for us to live in their house. Chapter 37. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Driven by a mix of hatred and envy, the two frenemies temporarily joined forces. Their discussion centered on how to steal Zhang Yi's house. We can't take him on by ourselves, one said. We need backup. Neither of them could beat Zhang Yi even on a good day, especially not now, cold and hungry. While he was well-fed and rested, Lin Caning gritted her teeth. What if we ask the neighbors for help? Fang Yuqing shot her a look. Seriously? Are you dense? However much stuff Zhang Yi has, it won't be enough for that many people. The fewer who know, the better. Lin Caning pressed, so, what's your plan? Fang Yuqing smirked. We get Zhou Peng. Zhou Peng was her personal simp, always doing her bidding. Zhang Yi had once chased after her, but he at least had some sense, so he wasn't easily manipulated. Zhou Peng, on the other hand, was a complete idiot who would probably die for her. Fang Yuqing intended to use him to steal Zhang Yi's place. Lin Caning clapped her hands. Great idea. Using the simp is the way to go. Fang Yuqing immediately called Zhou Peng. He was already skin and bones, starving. As a warehouse employee, his family had plenty of supplies, but he'd given most of it to Fang Yuqing. he was so blinded by her that he hadn't realized she was playing him, convinced that all this generosity would lead to marriage. When he saw her call, he forgot his hunger and cold and raced over, at her place. Fang Yuqing immediately launched into a sob story about how Zhang Yi had mistreated her. "He's such a jerk," she wailed. "I just asked for some food, and he wanted me to sleep with him. You know I'm not that kind of girl." Zhou Peng, seeing her teary-eyed, felt thrilled that she'd come to him for help. She turns to me. She must really care about me. This has to be love. He felt this was his chance to prove himself. Maybe I can finally win her over. He puffed out his chest. Zhang Yi's a scumbag. How dare he treat you like that? I'll kill him. Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning exchanged glances, thinking, this is too easy, that they hadn't even needed to use their prep lines before Zhou Peng volunteered to take care of Zhang Yi. Fang Yuqing grabbed his arm and batted her eyelashes. Zhang Yi's got tons of food and a fireplace. It's so warm. Why should that jerk get to live like that? Let's take his place, Zhou Peng. We can live there together. What do you think? Zhou Peng had always disliked Zhang Yi. He was better looking and richer. They'd both been after Fang Yuqing, and she'd always favored Zhang Yi. Now, with her holding his arm and the faint brush of her skin through the layers of clothing, he felt like he'd won. Okay. Yuqing, don't worry, I've got this. Hearing that, Fang Yuqing said, but be careful. He's selfish and shameless. He might fight back if we try to rob him. We should bring weapons and catch him by surprise. Lin Canning added, if you ask me, we should just kill him. She hated Zhang Yi most of all. She'd sent him nude photos, and he'd said she was too dark. If that got out, she'd be ruined. Zhang Yi had to die. Zhou Peng hesitated. Killing was easy to say, but they'd all grown up in a civilized society. It wasn't easy to just do it. Seeing his hesitation, Fang Yuqing's face fell. What? You don't want to? He's been bullying me, and you're going soft on him? I guess everything you said about loving me was a lie, huh? Zhou Peng's simp nature kicked in. No, Yuqing, don't be mad. I'll do whatever you want. As long as he could get Fang Yuqing, he'd commit murder. After all, it was the end of the world, and morals were slipping. Fang Yuqing said, then let's go now. We'll trick him into opening the door, and then. She mimed slitting a throat. Lin Canning grabbed the weapons they'd prepared. 2 kitchen knives, a steel pipe, and a clothes hanger. Zhou Peng took a kitchen knife and slipped it into his down jacket. Armed and fueled by murderous intent, they headed to Zhang Yi's house. They got to his door. Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning hid to the sides, weapons in hand. To avoid being seen through the peephole, they signaled Zhou Peng to knock and lure Zhang Yi out. Zhou Peng nodded, touched the knife in his jacket, and felt a surge of confidence. He knocked on the door. Zhang Yi, are you home? It's Zhou Peng. Hearing the voice, Zhang Yi was curious. Zhou Peng, they worked at the same warehouse, but they weren't close. Their shared interest in Fang Yuqing had caused some friction. He's up to no good. After all, in the apocalypse, there's no good news. Instead of opening the door, Zhang Yi turned on the surveillance. Sure enough, he saw them, 2 women hiding on either side of the door, holding knives and pipes, with murderous looks on their faces. Zhang Yi felt a chill even though he'd been prepared. Their malice shocked him. You want to kill me? You wish. Zhang Yi sneered, his black eyes radiating cold fury. We'll see who kills who. Chapter 38. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing no one answered, Zhou Peng pounded on the door. Zhang Yi. It's Zhou Peng. Open up, I gotta tell you something important. Zhang Yi smirked, grabbed his gun, and clicked off the safety. He went to the door. Who is it? Hearing Zhang Yi, Zhou Peng quickly signaled Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning to get ready. This was their first time planning something like this, and the 2 women were on edge, but the thought of moving into Zhang Yi's cozy place with all that food made their eyes harden. Zhou Peng said, Zhang Yi, it's me, Zhou Peng. We're completely out of food. Can you spare some, for a fellow co-worker? He put on his most desperate face, but kept his hand low. ready to draw his knife. Zhang Yi leaned against the door. Sorry, I'm all out myself. Can't help you there. Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning cursed under their breath, out of food, my ass, the kitchen's packed with food, lobster, scallops, abalone, you name it. Is that all just for show, but they were too far in to back out now. Zhou Peng gritted his teeth and pulled out a box of medicine. Zhang Yi, I'm not asking for a handout. I'll trade you. Here, a box of ibuprofen. It was freezing, and everyone was catching colds and fevers. Medicine could save lives, even more valuable than food right now. To lure Zhang Yi into opening the door, Zhou Peng offered up his precious ibuprofen. Behind the door, Zhang Yi was figuring out how to handle them. Kill them, easy enough, with the gun or crossbow. But just killing them? Kinda boring. Death's a mercy in this hellscape. It's the living that suffer. And I sure as hell ain't letting these bitches take advantage of me. He got an idea. He grabbed an empty beer bottle from the trash. Just downed a few. Gotta take a leak anyway. He aimed into the bottle and let loose. Ibuprofen, huh? That's good stuff. Let me think about it. Zhang Yi casually chatted with Zhou Peng, the sound of his stream audible through the door. The others heard the noise but didn't know what he was up to. Zhang Yi's tone sounded like he was joking. They started getting excited. Zhou Peng jumped in. Yeah, open the door, let's trade. I don't need much, just 2 packs of ramen. Ibuprofen was going for at least 5 packs in the community. Zhou Peng was lowballing him to get him to open the door. 2 packs of ramen. I don't want to rip you off. Zhang Yi finished up, and then grabbed a bottle of iced black tea. It was pretty full and even had white foam at the top. Zhou Peng thought he had him hooked and leaned on the door. Nah, it's cool. I'm starving, and we're co-workers, so it's all good. Just open the door already. Zhang Yi dragged a stool over, climbed up to the peephole, and then poured the bottle of iced black tea on the 3 people outside. They yelped as the sudden liquid showered them. Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning screamed. Ack! What is that? It's hot. It's steaming. At first they were relieved by the warmth, but a second later, they caught the unmistakable pungent odor. That's piss. Eeeeew. Soaked in urine, the 2 women shrieked and started vomiting. Zhou Peng's face turned red with rage. Bang, bang. He pounded on the door. Zhang Yi, you son of a at #UN %#UN. Open this door. I'm gonna kill you. But the heavy alloy door didn't even dent, and Zhou Peng's hand was throbbing. Zhang Yi's laughter boomed from inside. How's my piss taste? Good stuff, huh? You morons thought you could trick me? You wish. Zhou Peng and the others finally realized they'd been played. Enraged, they screamed insults at Zhang Yi through the door. Zhou Peng yelled, damn it, I should've just gone for it. You just wait, I'm gonna kill you. He stopped pretending, pulled out a kitchen knife, and swung at the door with all his might. Normal doors were wood, easy to break down, but Zhang Yi's door was made of integrated alloy, the kind that could take an RPG. When Zhou Peng's knife hit, it was like hitting a steel plate. The door didn't budge, and the force sent the knife flying back. The kitchen knife whizzed past Zhou Peng's head, leaving a long gash, and his hand was bleeding from the force. Human skin's more fragile in winter, and the pain's worse. Zhou Peng was stunned. If that knife had been just an inch over, it would have split his face open. Then, the pain snapped him back to reality. Ag! Zhou Peng screamed. Seeing this, fear took over, and the 2 women left Zhou Peng behind and ran. Zhang Yi watched from inside, hefting the pistol, wondering if he should go out and shoot them. He could leave them hanging on by a thread, at least, and see how they like surviving in this cold apocalypse. But he thought better of it. Why? Because there were 3 crazy dogs out there. Sure, he'd probably win, but there was a chance they'd get lucky. Taking his life as a joke, Zhang Yi would never do such a thing. That's right, he is the king of dogs. I have such a comfortable life in my childhood, why bother to be emotional? Nah, I'll just let them freeze to death out there. See how long they last in this hellhole. Zhang Yi went back to the sofa and kept playing his game. Zhou Peng and Fang Yuqing ran home, and he sat on the sofa, trembling all over. He almost died just now, and he still has lingering fears. Fang Yuqing screamed immediately when she saw the urine on his body drop onto the sofa. Ah! Go away, who let you sit on my sofa? Chapter 39 Stink Bomb. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fang Yuqing felt bad for her sofa, but the fact that Zhou Peng had peed on it also grossed her out. After all, Zhou Peng had taken the brunt of the urine shower at the door. She immediately snapped at Zhou Peng, telling him to get off the sofa. Zhou Peng felt completely wronged after Fang Yuqing's scolding. He was even more upset about getting involved with Zhang Yi. He was soaked in urine, shivering, and wounded. And now Fang Yuqing was treating him like this. Still, a simp's a simp, right? After thinking it over, Zhou Peng decided Fang Yuqing was right to yell at him. He hadn't helped her out, and he was covered in filth. Of course, he couldn't contaminate his goddess's sofa. The more Zhou Peng thought about it, the more he felt he deserved the dressing down. He jumped up and apologized to Fang Yuqing. I'm so sorry, Yuqing, it's all my fault. Please don't be mad. Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning, eager to change, just waved him away. Just go. We need to change. Zhou Peng didn't dare argue and quickly left. Back in the room, the two women frantically changed out of their urine-soaked clothes, but even after changing, they could still smell that acrid odor. After all, it wasn't just on their clothes, it was in their hair and on their skin, even running down their necks. It was too cold to take a bath. They wouldn't dare, so they just had to deal with the nausea. The failed scheme, combined with getting peed on, only intensified their hatred for Zhang Yi. What are we going to do? Zhang Yi's too slippery to deal with. Damn it, no matter what, I'm going to take that house from him. Let's brainstorm. There has to be a chink in his armor somewhere. As the two women plotted, Zhang Yi sent Fang Yuqing a message. That was just P. Next time, I'm throwing crap on you. But he hadn't been prepared this time. If he had time to prep, he'd cover them in feces. Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning went pale. Getting covered in that was their worst nightmare. Zhang Yi shut down the chat and stopped looking at Fang Yuqing's messages. Even with notifications off, the message count was climbing rapidly. He knew it wasn't going to be pretty. He went to the owners group to see what was happening. He immediately saw a circus. Ever since Chen Zhenghao's home invasion, Aunt Lin seemed to have lost it. Now, she kept posting voice messages, demanding everyone hand over their supplies to her. I'm the director of the neighborhood committee. Anyone who doesn't listen to me will be arrested when the snow melts. Did you hear that? Answer me. You need to bring all your food to my house today. But this time, nobody was listening to her. After more than 10 days, everyone realized how things really were. The authorities weren't helping anyone, and Aunt Lin's so-called neighborhood committee meant jack. She couldn't scare anyone, so they just mocked her. Why don't you just hurry up and die, you old hag? You conned our family out of a box of instant noodles at the beginning, and I haven't forgotten about that. Someone brought up the start of the snowstorm. If you hadn't told everyone everything was fine and told us not to hoard supplies, we wouldn't be in this mess. That comment instantly reignited everyone's anger. When it first started snowing, even though it was cold, some people still wanted to go shopping, but Aunt Lin kept saying the snowstorm would pass quickly and that anyone hoarding supplies would be punished, so nobody dared to go out. After a few days, the heavy snow blocked all the roads, trapping everyone inside. If it hadn't been for her, they could have stocked up supplies for at least another 2 weeks. Look what you've done, you old bat. It's all your fault, you evil witch. The neighbors were tearing into Aunt Lin. Su Hao, the rich kid, also popped up in the group. Buying supplies at ridiculous prices. I'll pay $10,000 for a pack of instant noodles and $5,000 for a bottle of water. With the price of instant noodles at $10,000, Su Hao was in a panic. His money would be worthless if he didn't spend it now. Zhang Yi shook his head. It's too late to throw money at things. Immediately, someone piped up. I have some food at home. I'll sell it to you. Zhang Yi was speechless. No matter what, some people will always be greedy enough to risk everything for money. No matter how hopeless things look, some people will always bet this snowstorm won't last long, but Zhang Yi knew this snowstorm would last a long time, and even after the snow stopped, the world would take forever to recover. Money would be as useless as toilet paper, except at least you could wipe your butt with toilet paper. That thought gave Zhang Yi a nasty idea. He had so much toilet paper in his warehouse he could never use it all, but his neighbors probably didn't have that much. What would they use when they ran out of toilet paper? He quickly shook his head. People aren't eating much these days. I bet they're not pooping much either. Still, it was a sign that the barely maintained peace would soon shatter. Zhang Yi knew what kind of monsters people would become once food ran out. The next day, Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning knocked on Zhang Yi's door. They pleaded outside, begging him to let them in, claiming they were freezing to death. Zhang Yi ignored them. Freezing to death. That was exactly what Zhang Yi wanted. Seeing that Zhang Yi didn't respond, they said, for the sake of old times, he could at least give them some food. Through the security camera, Zhang Yi saw they'd all come with umbrellas. It seemed getting peed on had left a mark, but Zhang Yi wasn't stupid enough to open the door for them. If he guessed right, they all had knives on them, ready to kill him at any moment and rob the house. Zhang Yi thought for a moment and opened his interdimensional space. The warehouse was full of junk he didn't need, but he'd put it away anyway. His interdimensional space was big enough, so he didn't have to worry about space. He never thought it would come in handy. He grabbed 2 stink bombs from the toys section. These were for pranks. When lit, they released a disgusting smell, and it was difficult to wash off with soap and water. Hearing Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning's voices outside the door, he chuckled, grabbed the stink bombs, and walked over. Chapter 40 Gunshots. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhang Yi lit the stink bomb and chucked it out the peephole above the door. A big cloud of thick, black smoke billowed out as soon as it landed. The corridor was instantly filled with a gag-inducing stench. Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning smelled it and instantly felt like someone had cracked open a 10-year-old can of crap. They puked right there. Ugh, what the? Barf. Zhang Yi, you, Bleck, you're such a scumbag. That the stench intensified, and the 2 women hightailed it out of there. Zhang Yi wasn't worried about the smell getting back inside. He closed the peepholes, making the apartment practically airtight. Sure, some air could still get through, but the place had a special filtration system installed during construction, designed to keep out any odors or harmful air. Zhang Yi chuckled, watching the 2 women stumbling and throwing up on the security cam, but then he got a complaint from his next-door neighbor. Zhang Yi, what the heck did you throw out there? It reeks. How about thinking about your neighbors for once? Zhang Yi's neighbors were a young couple who'd moved in 2 years ago. They didn't really hang out, just exchanged nods in the elevator. Right now, he couldn't care less about neighborly relations. In this new reality, he was only looking out for number 1, and everyone else could go pound sand. To put it bluntly, he'd off someone in a heartbeat if it meant staying safe and comfortable. No room for bleeding hearts these days. Anyone who shows that kind of weakness is dead meat. If you don't like it, come make me, Zhang Yi said, then blocked the neighbor's number. He wasn't about to waste his breath arguing. Soon after, he saw his neighbors badmouthing him online. Too bad for them, nobody gave a rat's ass. Zhang Yi snickered. Being a jerk felt pretty good. That afternoon, Zhang Yi was jolted awake. Boom! A loud blast echoed in the hallway, shaking the whole building. Zhang Yi's face hardened. Sounded like a gunshot in this building. Someone had a gun. Unsure if it was a gun or just a firecracker, Zhang Yi hurried to the living room and flipped on the security monitor. What he saw made his blood run cold. Chen Zhenghao, the guy with the bum leg, was standing in front of the 3rd-floor apartment, holding a black handgun. That cold, dark metal looked deadly. The door to the apartment was open, and from the camera angle, you could just make out 2 legs lying inside. Chen Zhenghao's goons were coming out, grinning and carrying food, candles, and other supplies. The 3rd-floor resident was obviously dead. Or if not, he wouldn't last long after being shot and losing everything. It was 10 in the morning. Usually, Everyone would be out digging snow together to melt for water. Huddling together warmed up the hallway a little. 2. Water was essential for survival, so this was a daily routine. Chen Zhanghao had seen his chance and was now killing and looting. Ding dong, that his phone buzzed. Zhang Yi checked it. A message from the building's chat group. Chen Zhanghao had sent a voice message. The city's snowed in. We're on our own now. I, Chen Zhanghao, am stepping up to take charge of this building. From now on, I call the shots. Cooperate, and I'll make sure you're taken care of. Anyone who tries to be a hero, well, you know. Then, Chen Zhanghao sent 2 photos. One was a close-up of the gun in his hand. The other was a shot of the third-floor resident lying in a pool of blood. The chat group, usually buzzing with chatter, went silent. Everyone was shocked by the brutal, bloody scene. Most of the residents were probably scared stiff. They'd never seen anything like this before. Unimaginable, really. But now, this bloody reality was staring them in the face. Trapped in this blizzard-bound building, it was every man for himself. No one dared to challenge Chen Zhanghao. They were all too afraid to die. Zhang Yi, sprawled on the sofa, couldn't help but think, Chen Zhanghao's playing this smart. He's a real operator. Chen Zhanghao was mixing the carrot and the stick, not just trying to bully everyone. He only had one gun. Nobody knew how much ammo he had, but Zhang Yi knew it couldn't be much. Guns were tightly controlled in China. Zhang Yi had paid a fortune for his back in the day, and they only sold him 100 rounds, plus, Chen Zhanghao only had 5 or 6 goons. There were about 50 households in the building, over 100 people. If they all ganged up on him, a cripple like him wouldn't stand a chance, so, the best way to control them was to offer them hope while scaring them half to death. People are always afraid of dying. Even if they knew Chen Zhanghao could kill them tomorrow, they still held out hope that it wouldn't be them. The people on the upper floors probably figured it would take Chen Zhanghao half a month to work his way up to them. By then, they wouldn't need to risk anything. The people below would have resisted already, and the people on the 4th floor probably figured Chen Zhanghao wasn't necessarily killing people in order. Plus, if you resisted, you were guaranteed to die. So it was better to stay put and hope someone else got it first. Zhang Yi shrugged. None of this had anything to do with him. The others might be too scared to stand up to Chen Zhanghao, but Zhang Yi wasn't afraid of him at all. If Chen Zhanghao dared to show his face at his door, his life would be over. As for whether the other neighbors lived or died, that was their problem. They were burying their heads in the sand, unwilling to fight back. Zhang Yi wasn't about to play the hero, sacrificing himself to save them. Suddenly, his phone buzzed and dinged like crazy. Zhang Yi picked it up and saw hundreds of new messages. He'd been added to a new group. Curious, Zhang Yi checked it out. Turns out the residents of the building had created their own group. Without Chen Zhanghao and his thugs, Chen Zhanghao's death threat had finally pushed some people to band together for protection. Zhang Yi didn't say anything. His own safety was guaranteed. He just wanted to see what these people were planning.